We're in.
Okay.
Good evening, Cutler Bay. This is Mayor Tim Meerbot, and welcome to our Wednesday, February 17th, 2021 Town Council meeting. Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Councilmember Duncan.
Here.
Councilmember Coryat.
Here.
Councilmember Lord.
Here.
Vice Mayor Callahan.
Here.
Mayor Meerbot.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. If you all please rise with me and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you very much. Debbie, will you, again, since this is I guess a combined virtual meeting, if you could go ahead and read the instructions, please.
Yes. Welcome to tonight's meeting. The phone number, if you care to call in, is 786-573-5529. Please be advised that there were no public comments received via email or voicemail relating to tonight's agenda. If you wish to speak, you should press *9 and the host will be alerted. Pressing *9 is known as raising your hand. Once you press *9, you'll be placed in the queue to speak and will be called upon by your name or the last 3 digits of your telephone number. Please wait to be called upon. Please state your name and address, and if you're a hired consultant or town employee or if you are engaged in lobbying activities and are representing an organization, please provide that information before speaking. Please be sure to be in a quiet area to avoid unnecessary noise, and a time limit of 3 minutes will be imposed for each speaker during public comments. Your cooperation is appreciated. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And the agenda has public comments before that announcement, but so as to do that, I'm going to open it up for public comments now. So, facilitator, is there anybody in the queue for public comments?
Okay, Mayor Meerbot, at this time we have one person in queue that I see that has raised their hand, and I can allow them for public comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I am going to allow Bethany King. I will unmute you now, okay?
Okay. Bethany, I can see you there. You're on mute still, and you are now off mute, so you can speak. Bethany, please give us your name and your address.
Bethany Kime, 19800 Southwest 87th Avenue, Cutler Bay, Florida, 33157. Congratulations, Mayor, on your granddaughter. But also just wanted to give a huge thank you to Councilmember Duncan for bringing forth the agenda item to support House Bill 157. As being someone whose life was saved through a heart screening, this is huge. So thank you so much for your support and making sure that this can happen.
All right, thank you very much, Bethany, and thank you again, Councilman Duncan, for bringing that forward. All right, has there been anyone else in the queue, a facilitator? Oh, and Bethany, thank you for my congratulations on my granddaughter. I'm very proud. I'm a first granddaughter, so appreciate that.
Mayor Meerbot, at this time we do not see anyone else in the queue for public comment.
All right, then public comments is now closed. That takes us to town council announcements, board and committee reports. Hopefully everybody's had the chance to read those. Are there any questions or additions? No? Okay, I did want to touch on one thing real quick before we go forward. It was brought to my attention, some of the issues that we have with gas stations and their ability to make any improvements on it. Right now, there are 4 service stations in the NC District 1 on Old Cutler Road. Ralph, I don't know if we can shoot that, or I can just kind of hold that up for you where that area is. Let me get it real close for you. One of the owners there wanted to upgrade and make some improvements, but unfortunately, because of our code, they can't do any type of improvements or reconstruction or anything like that. So I'm proposing that we go ahead and I'll work with legal to see if we can find a way we can change our land use to allow them to make improvements rather than just having to tear the entire thing down. These gas stations do provide valuable services along Old Cutler Road. They also provide valuable services to the voters going out to Black Point. And but it'd be nice to allow them to make improvements to be more aligned with what we'd like Old Cutler to be. So that'll be something we'll be bringing before the council. But I just want to kind of give you a heads up that we're going to go forward. I'm going to go forward and see if we can work with our department, our staff, and legal to see what we can do to improve that. Okay. All right. Other than that, that takes us to the good stuff. Okay. We are very honored to have one of our favorite citizens, Edward Verona, and Edward's been working very, very hard for the environment. And so we have a proclamation for Edward Verona. So facilitator, if you could please bring Edward forward if he's on there. He is. Okay, Edward. And Edward, do you have a camera, or no, you're on mute still, so we can unmute Edward. Edward, can you hear me?
I can now. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can see you too. Great. It's good to see you as well. So
That's not so good for you, but okay.
well, I was hoping you'd be in the backyard as well, but it's okay. So and Ed, we're also we have with us and on the line Commissioner Cohen Higgins, who wanted to be here for this proclamation. This is something that I think all of South Florida can be very, very proud of. But we are most proud for having you as one of our residents, not only just one of our residents, one of our active residents who takes the environment not only seriously, but caring and gets other people involved. So it's with great honor that I give you this proclamation. So whereas the town of Cutler Bay takes pride in recognizing residents who've demonstrated a commitment to preserving and protecting the state of our environment through community services and stewardship. And whereas Mr. Edward Verona is a tireless environmentalist, protecting rare and precious coast wetlands and native ecosystems within Miami-Dade County for over 15 years, specifically the 100 acres of restorable wetlands in Cutler Bay. And whereas Mr. Verona has spent many years in the environmental field, helping to organize volunteers and restoration efforts, which includes clearing lands of invasive species and reintroducing native plants necessary to ensure our land and ecosystem continue to thrive and flourish. And whereas through his activism and ability to inspire others, Mr. Verona led an important environmental effort in coordinating a grassroots letter writing campaign to the South Florida Water Management District, which resulted in the purchase and preservation of the wetlands in Cutler Bay as a component of the comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan in the Biscayne Bay Coastal Wetlands Restoration Project. And whereas Mr. Verona spearheaded successful efforts to organize a coalition of concerned citizens in Cutler Bay who opposed the further development and upzoning of land, which could have jeopardized the globally imperiled imperiled pine rockland that can only be found in southern Florida and parts of the Bahamas. And whereas in 2016, Mr. Verona was chosen by the Miami Herald as a finalist for the Miami Visionary Awards in the environment category. And whereas Mr. Verona continues to strongly influence local, state, and federal governments with a vision that brings greater resiliency through environmental preservation and restoration of our natural areas and coastal communities. Now there be resolved that I, Tim Mirabot, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the town of Cutler Bay, and on behalf of the town council and citizens, in recognition of his leadership, passion, and continued commitment to the preservation and beautification of our community and safeguarding of our natural legacy, to hereby present this proclamation to Eduardo Verona. Eduardo, congratulations, and it really is an honor to have you in our town. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Mayor, if I could just say it, we have a surprise guest on the line as well. Commissioner Cohen Higgins, after a long day at the Board of County Commissioner, has joined our meeting. So Alex, if you could please promote Commissioner Cohen Higgins. Thank you.
Commissioner, you're still on mute. You are off
Hi,
mute.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Oh.
hear you. We can see you as well. There
Hi.
you are. Welcome to our
Hi,
town.
wonderful. Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate you allowing me to zoom in. We left the Board of County Commission that went late, and then I attended the Homestead Council meeting, so I apologize for being in my car. But Eduardo, I wanted to take a moment to say thank you and to recognize you and say that I fully support Cutler Bay's proclamation in your honor tonight. As you know, we had the opportunity to meet maybe over a year ago. You showed me the Pine Rocklands. You showed me your vast knowledge as it pertains to the plants and the agriculture in that area. And I can't think of someone more deserving than you tonight for this proclamation, Eduardo. So I simply want to join in with Cutler Bay in honoring you tonight and share with you how much I think this is such a well-deserved honor, and thank you for your commitment and your continued commitment to our environment and to Cutler Bay.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Eduardo, I'll give you the floor for a moment.
Wow, I have the floor, and can it be for more than 3 minutes?
When I give you the sign, that'll let you know, okay?
Because I have a few things to say, not many, and they're not about me, honestly. No, thank you, Mayor Mirabot, Deborah, our wonderful town clerk, the staff that delivered the proclamation, which is right over here, and the rest of our staff and our fabulous town manager, Ralph Casals. All of you are great people there. I also want to thank past and present council members who have had the environment in their heart, and including past mayors Bell and McDougall. I think to some level or another, everyone that I've dealt with in Cutler Bay has had the environment in their heart at some level or another. Specifically, I do want to thank Roger Coriat, because I have to say this man puts the money, he puts sweat equity into it. So Roger has been to every possible work day that there has been, the ones that he can attend. I know that others have also. Tim, yourself, and BJ have also been there. So thank you for that. And there's plenty of opportunity for the future for more of those. I do want to thank our current mayor, Daniela Labine Cava. She's always been very supportive of not just the environment in general, but very supportive of in Cutler Bay for the Everglades restoration efforts. And again, Danielle Cohen Higgins, who has visited there at 184th Street. So thank you for that. Allow me to say, though, that to me, this proclamation doesn't belong to me. It belongs to hundreds, if not thousands, of people that have contributed to the efforts that you have given this proclamation for. There's no way that one individual alone can accomplish the things that we have tried to accomplish, and in some cases have accomplished. I want to start by mentioning 4 people that without them, none of this would have started in Cutler Bay. Those are Beth Kibler, Tom and Barbara Condon. I consider that one unit, I'm just gonna say that, Tom and Barbara Condon. And Dr. Amy Rhoda and myself. We were the 4 individuals that from 2005 to 2010 led the efforts to make sure that those 130 acres of coastal wetlands would not be developed into 0 lot line homes and a mixed use development right there on 184th Street and Old Cutler Road. Really, that got the whole ball of wax rolling to make sure that we would have an environmental town. And I just want to say the leader of that path was Beth Kibler. And she's not even from Cutler Bay, but that's how it goes around here. We all stick together. Now, further on down the line, there's so many thank yous. I want to thank the HOAs of the Cutler Bay corridor, these being Cutler K, Old Cutler Glen, and Saga Bay. Specifically, Robert Gonzalez, Doris Perlman, Stefano Fanfani, Fred Hurling, Mr. Haas, and Mr. McDougall. They were the ones that provided the funding for the shirts, those awful yellow shirts, and that filled the town council chambers, and the iridescent yellow signs. Without them, those would not have appeared. My mom is here. She's also, say hello, Mom.
Hello.
She's also been to Restoration Days. And then I just want to mention the people that never get mentioned. I can't mention everyone, but I want to say thank you to Steve Zarzecki for hosting all those meetings of the concerned citizens of the Cutler Bay that allowed these issues in Cutler Bay to really hit the street. And I'm just going to mention a few names: Laura Reynolds and her associate Zach Costner, Claudia Sebastiani, my good friend and neighbor Eddie D'Aragon that today was out there shredding bush at the restoration, Beatriz Baldan, Susan Lewis, Nolene Westman, God rest her soul. She was wonderful. Joe LaDuca, Bobby Hartwell, Natalie Stone, Marissa Portuondo, Ernie Lent, Amelia Isabel, Kevin Woike, Mayor of Palmetto Bay, ex-Mayor Eugene Flynn, Ron Goronsky, Nazreen Turi, Judy Stockman, and of NPS, National Park Service, Tony Pernis and Shay Brusha. Also from Fairchild, Jennifer Posley and Brian Harding. Of the district, Christina Stilianos and Manny Porras. Organizations to thank: Tropical Audubon, Miami Pine Rocklands Coalition, Fairchild again, Institute for Regional Conservation, and the district. Finally, and the reason I mention all these names is because these people don't get recognition and they really should. There's so much fun and work to be done. In fact, this is not in Cutler Bay, but right next door, we have a 22-acre forest that is in danger of development. And I'm not going to rest until somehow, in some way in Palmetto Bay, that forest comes into public hands. I'm gonna work on that. It's right across the street from our 8.5 acres at Cutler Bay just purchased. Also, now that Cutler Bay has purchased 8.5 acres near 184th Street and Old Cutler Road, we'll have a lot more work to do restoring those lands and bringing them back to their native environment. Also, I want to mention that in Cutler Bay, we have 2 Biscayne Bay coastal wetland projects that are part of Everglades restoration that are very, very close to finally, after many, many years, one of them is finally going to break ground probably in early 2022. My final thanks is to Cutler Bay for embracing the unique natural resources that, rather than they becoming an impediment or a liability, are natural treasures full of opportunity to make our town stand out in Miami-Dade as none other, as an environmental town and an environmental focus. And part of that, I know on your agenda, is that you're going to have an environmental task force, that maybe a committee, I'm not really sure, that will be voted on today. So I'm thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the recognition. But again, I really feel like I would not be getting this recognition had it not been for all these other individuals. And I could not name them because it would have been 1,000 of them. I couldn't name them all, but thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys doing this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edward. Again, we do appreciate all that you've done for us, and I'm sure all that you will continue to do. So it's an honor to give you this proclamation. And again, we just thank you. All right. With that, we do have one more. It's an environmental theme tonight. Okay. So we have another presentation, which is our Environmental Stewardship Award. And that is going to Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospital of Miami. And I believe accepting the proclamation is the Encompass Health CEO, Luis Allende Ruiz. And I see we've already promoted him. He's still on mute though. So if you could please unmute yourself, and hopefully if you have a camera, we can see yourself and I can present.
I am here.
There he is. Okay, we can see you.
And Mayor, if we could, another nice little surprise twist today, we actually produced in-house from our spectacular PIO, Desiree, produced a nice little 3-minute video. If I could just indulge the council for a little 3-minute video, then we'll go into the proclamation. So
yes, you can. So go ahead and forward with the video.
Yep, Alex, thank you.
Hi, my name is John Hatfield. I'm the Director of Plant Operations and Safety of Encompass Rehab Hospital here in beautiful Cutler Bay, Miami. I was very glad to see when Cutler Bay started the Environmental Stewardship Program. When I received the letter last January, I had the dream of putting this green team together, and once I got that letter, it really pushed me into action. We formed our green team last year in May because we wanted to help the environment and community that we serve. We also wanted to help on utility cost. Utility cost is the #3 cost when running a hospital. Last January, we actually saved over $12,000 on our electric bill with just some of the initiatives that we've taken so far.
My name is Luis Aguiar. I am the Business Development Director for Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospital of Miami. Encompass Health is one of the over 148 hospitals throughout the United States and 2 in Puerto Rico. We are the last one going south in Florida, and we have a capacity for 60 beds. We service our community from the Broward line all the way to Key West, we decided to implement the green team process at Encompass because we want to be part of the teams that help to improve the quality of the environment, and also because it will reduce the operational cost of the hospital by implementing all these measures.
Some of the projects that we've done recently, we've done some lighting retrofits, changing old energy efficient light fixtures to LED fixtures. We're putting some light controls. We're upgrading our air conditioning control project. We have started a recycling program. We're going to do some education to the staff, as well as put out some more recycling containers. And we also talked about the possibility of having biodegradable utensils that we use in our cafeteria. We have programs already for recycling cardboard, used cooking oil, light bulbs, batteries, computer equipment. And we do all these things to help the environment, to lessen what goes into the landfills and try to recycle as much as we can. The team consists of about 22 volunteer staff members, and all departments are represented. Due to COVID, we've been meeting outside, having a barbecue, trying to make the event fun, to try to give people the incentive to be part of the green team. My hope for this green team is to continue to meet quarterly, make a fun activity for the staff, but to continue to come up with ideas on helping the environment, continue to do projects, to continue to lower cost, and continue to help the community we serve. Encompass Health would like to be a leader of the businesses of Cutler Bay to show you that this program is possible, it's achievable, and you're going to see some savings from it. It's going to help you, it's going to help the environment, and it's going to help the city of Cutler Bay.
It is an absolute pleasure to be part of such a green town right now going forward. So, Louis, I don't know if you call you Louis, but it's a great honor that I present this presentation, this proclamation to you. So, Town Council, February 17th, 2021, whereas being the first certified business in the town of Cutler Bay's environmental stewardship program, Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospital of Miami is leading the business community to develop and implement green solutions and initiatives that'll make a positive and lasting impact on our environment. And whereas the environmental stewardship program was created to encourage and recognize businesses that conserve natural resources such as water, electricity, and fuel, reduce, reuse, and recycle materials, reduce their use of hazardous materials, and generation of hazardous waste, take affirmative steps to prevent pollution, and implement many other green-friendly initiatives. And whereas in February of 2020, Encompass Health submitted an application to be a part of the program, highlighting their green efforts that include installing equipment to improve the efficiency of their HVAC system, replacing fluorescent lights to LED lights, implementing recycling programs for cardboard, batteries, light bulbs, computer equipment, and more, and installing self-closing faucets and water-efficient toilets, to name a few. And whereas Encompass Health created a green team in May of 2020, composed of 22 members from all departments within a hospital to develop well-rounded green solutions that will improve the quality of the environment and lower operational costs. And whereas Encompass Health has worked with Hayes Energy Group, who did an energy study of their facility in order to recommend where energy usage could be improved, which serves as a guide to the hospital. They also joined the Energy to Care program, which allows them to gauge their utility costs to other hospitals of similar size. And whereas the 60-bed inpatient rehabilitation hospital spans more than 65,000 square feet, providing quality and comprehensive rehabilitation services to patients throughout Miami-Dade, Broward, and Monroe counties. And whereas part of a broader system that includes 137 hospitals, 241 home health locations, and 82 hospice locations in 39 states and Puerto Rico. And Encompass Health provides high quality, cost-effective, integrated healthcare and is ranked one of Fortune's 100 best companies to work for. Now there be resolved, I, Tim Mirbot, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the town of Cutler Bay, and on behalf of the town council and citizens, in recognition of their commitment to the environment and for their leadership in the business community, to hereby present this proclamation to Encompass Health Rehabilitation Hospital of Miami. Louis, congratulations, and if I give you the floor for a moment.
Okay, so here's the proclamation. Thank you very much, Mayor. We're very proud at Encompass Health to be the first certified business in the town of Cutler Bay in the Cutler Bay environmental stewardship. I've been with the company for now almost 3 years. John has been there. John Hatfield, the first one who appeared in the video, has been there for 8 or 9, and he's always been a promoter of trying to lead the hospital towards being green. I'm a true believer in this. I believe that we're here and we have to take care of our planet for our future generations, like your granddad. And congratulations on that. So I do everything I can. But the person who runs this and pushes for this is John Hatfield. We're very proud to receive this proclamation, and thank you, Ralph Casals, who's part of our governing body, and you know that you have friends there on Old Cutler Road. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and you're right, Mr. Hatfield is a very important part of it, but also the leadership at your hospital and your corporation are very instrumental in giving them a freedom and the ability to do that. So we thank the entire operation, especially your staff here in Cutler Bay, for the wonderful job that they do. So thank you very much, and it was a pleasure having you part of Cutler Bay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, that takes us on to our report. So Ralph, I will give you the floor for the town manager report.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, members of council. Couple of brief announcements. Miami-Dade County is going to be hosting the Caribbean Boulevard Public Information Session meeting on March 3rd, Wednesday, March 3rd, from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. We are in the process of promoting that event, and it's a county-run function. Residents, it's going to be held virtually, and just need to go ahead and register. Again, that project that we reported last council meeting, it's been 10 years in the making. So that's something that we're very excited about. Also, as you know, we've been providing as much support as we can for Commissioner Cohen-Hagen's Community Connectivity Committee that is being hosted at our friends Village of Palmetto Bay. There's going to be a meeting that's going to be scheduled for tomorrow, Thursday at 7 p.m. But more importantly to note, I've been in contact with the TPO Executive Director, Eileen Bouclé, and it looks like this item, the bridge connectivity item, was going to be part of the TPO's March 18th board meeting, and that meeting starts at 9:30. Once I receive an agenda, we will forward that to the council as well as to post it onto the community. Some other great news, and this is something that I'm sure that Councilman Coryat will appreciate. 216th Street between 87th Avenue and Old Cutler Road, right? So we're going to break that pie up a little bit. So we got 87th Avenue to 97th Avenue traffic circle. There, in between there, we Alfredo Quintero and Yanir Vega, have completed the negotiation with the county. The county is going to be performing a $1.1 million drainage improvement and roadway project on that street, 87th to 97th. Now, I'm sure people that are listening in, that's great, but the real problem is on 97th to Old Cutler. And I can tell you, just as of last week, we were able to negotiate $500,000 project to fix that drainage on 216 between Old Cutler and 97th Avenue. So again, total projects along that area there will be $1.6 million. The project will start phase 1, which is 97th to 87th Avenue, is going to start within the next 3 months. The other project is already a completed design phase. They were just waiting to secure the funding from our friends from RER. So I'd like to thank Miami-Dade County Public Works and RER, what we refer to as Durham Department, to identifying the money there. So again, the total project within the Lakes by the Bay community on 216 will be $1.6 million. And again, it's going to be a drainage project, obviously with the road rehabilitation project. So thank you, Alfredo, our Public Works Director, and Yanir Vega, our Stormwater Utility Manager, for negotiating that. Our Go Connect free service has been picking up a lot of momentum. We actually now have up to 94 riders per week. 58% of the riders ride it more than 12 times a week. So we have a lot of repeat riders. We still maintain a 4.95 rider rating, kind of like the Uber rating, Lyft rating. So we monitor that all the time with the county's contractor. The top locations, destinations, Southland Mall, the Transit Way, and the Point Royale Shopping Center, which is right there located on US 1. So you can see a lot of the trends there. So that we're really, very proud of that. And we're going to continue to push that out as well. Finally, Franjo Road improvements. As you recall, we had a public involvement meeting back in November regarding the Franjo Road. The project is going to go from Old Cutler Road all the way to 184. It's a complete streets project with drainage, lighting, bike lanes. We also, our main focus is going to be that traffic circle on Cutler Ridge and Franjo. And also the additional north and southbound turning lanes on Franjo and Caribbean. I see Councilman Duncan shaking his head there because he knows he lives that there, and as well as Councilman Callahan, you see that intersection there's going to be, kind of reconfigured. But more importantly, we've had some great conceptual plans on a second circle, which could be, and we're doing the negotiation right now with our engineers in the county's engineering department on the Gulfstream and Franjo Road. As you recall, that kind of tees up, and then on a good day you can't make a left there, right? So we're very excited about those types of possibilities, to the point that we might end up using there's a little triangle there that right now that we could probably make that a nice little amenity to the roadway project. Maybe some a shelter, a bike repair station, some bus bench. Some just sitting benches there. So again, we're looking, exploring that there. It looks like we might have some opportunity. As you know, that's that little triangle there. We're kind of angles there. So we're excited about that. So Mayor, that completes my report. And if you'd like, we can just go on right to the next item.
Just want to touch on one thing.
Sure, sorry.
The 87th Avenue Bridge and providing that information to the committee. And I just want to remind everybody, the committee is there. It's not really a voting body or to provide for recommendations. I think that some of the public think that the idea is to sway their opinion and for them to vote on this and bring it forward. But really, the commissioner wanted to bring that forward to make sure that all sides had the ability to air their feelings on the viability of the project without just traffic engineering reports, but actually some, I guess, real life experiences from the people though. So that's going to be ongoing. There's 3 more meetings. I'd like to thank the folks that are on that. I also had a real quick question. You mentioned 216 and connectivity to Old Cutler Road. And there's one traffic circle, which was sort of like around 212th Street in Old Cutler by Gulfstream. Is there any movement on connecting that with Gulfstream to Old Cutler, either from the 212 side or from the Gulfstream side?
Yes, Mayor, that we call the traffic circle. That's the southern traffic circle on Old Cutler Road. So right. Yeah, so there's 2. One, we're the new property owners on the 16 acres on that side. So whenever we get to the point of developing that, the county will have the town, because we're the property owners, connect that section there, that missing section there, to 97th Avenue that will meander through the Florida City Gas facility they have there. That's the southern part. The northern part is right across the street from Gulfstream Elementary, La Roca Church, which is a popular polling place. And we know that we've received a lot of inquiries because that property is up for sale. And we received a lot of inquiries, both myself and Jared, our community development director, regarding possible development there. And whoever or whatever organization develops there, the county will mandate them to connect that northern portion of Gulfstream, what we refer to as 97th Avenue Circle. So there's a couple pieces there that will be connected there as well.
Okay, great. All right, then you go on to the next item, please.
Okay, well, thank you, Mayor, members of council. So Alex, if you could go ahead and promote Ms. Reynolds. Up next, Mayor, we have Laura Reynolds from Conservation Concepts, the consultant that I brought on board specifically for 3 major items that we've been working on. Again, kind of following that environmental theme tonight. We brought her on to assist us with the EEL application, which I'm very proud, as Eduardo said, she was one of the primary authors of the original application for the EEL application. So she knows that property very well. We also brought her on to be our voice and eyes and ears with the Army Corps, what we call Army Corps Norfolk Back Bay study that will have a direct impact on our recently purchased 8.45 acre property there. And then more importantly, also we have the Biscayne Bay Southeastern Everglades Ecosystem Restoration Updates. We call it, BBSEER. for acronyms there, that is also part of the Army Corps of Engineers Everglades Restoration Project. So I'm very proud to announce that we do have a voice on the table. She is very active. She's very well informed. She knows these folks. I've been very impressed the way that she communicates with the Army Corps staff, South Florida Water Management District staff. She knows the folks on a first name basis. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to kind of provide the council a brief update of what's been going on behind the scenes, where we're having a seat at the table and making sure that we get recreational elements as part of this project. And with that, I will turn it over to Laura. Laura.
Thank you. And can you all hear me and see my screen that I'm sharing?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. And I'd like you to just feel free to stop me and ask a question, or if I'm going on too long, to cut me off. I can provide, obviously, any answers to questions that I'm not able to get to tonight. We did have some things come up in the news and in the media that we added to this presentation, so it's a little bit longer than initially intended. But I do hope that you're able to listen to as much as possible. So first, I'd like to congratulate Eduardo Verona. I've had the pleasure of working with him when I was the director of the Audubon Society, and have been, obviously as a resident of Old Cutler for 20 years. I knew Eduardo, and so congratulations. And this is a guy who would put his own money up to buy plants. So I just wanted to say thank you for all your work, Eduardo. We wouldn't be here without you. And then just quickly, a little bit about me. If you don't know me, my background is ecology, and I left academia and educating college students to do advocacy as the director of the Audubon Society for almost a decade. And then in 2016, started a small consulting firm to hopefully bridge the gap between science and policy, and I'm doing that on your behalf. So a couple of things. I do want to focus just on Biscayne Bay. These are the actions you've taken to date to help the Bay. So thank you for all your work. I'm not going to read them, but you will have this presentation just for the record. And again, what we're doing this year, hopefully, is we're going to be applying for a grant from the governor's budget, who dedicated $10 million, which Dade County will match. And then this is a list of bills to help you focus if your priority is Biscayne Bay, which I know it is. These are all the bills that are up this legislative session, which were in our last week of committee week. And every single one of these bills somehow helps the Bay. The first one is a license plate, and those funds will go to the Miami Foundation to raise funds for the community to focus on Bay issues. The second one is for stormwater improvements, definitely has momentum. And the third one is if you have been concerned or are concerned with single-use plastic, you know that the state has a ban on banning plastic bags, foam, or single-use containers. This bill seeks to repeal it and allow local municipalities like yourself to deal with the single-use plastic issue. And frankly, I think it affects tourism. So that's definitely a concern when you see plastic bags and garbage all over the place. So this is something that has some momentum this year. The next one is a cost recovery partnership with Dade County and Florida Power and Light to recycle, reuse water. And hopefully part of that, our goal is to actually include the Biscayne Bay Coastal Wetlands Project in the language of this bill. So I'm going to be trying to work to get language in there to recognize that we can use this wastewater potentially as part of BBC, and I'll get to that in the rest of the presentation. I added the Back Bay study to the presentation because it was in the media. So if you read the Miami Herald article on this, these are the images that you may have seen from a presentation that was given to the city of Miami. And I did want to say there was a couple of things wrong in that article, and I know that they're going to be doing another article. It may even be coming out this evening or tomorrow. So look for that article, but just know that number one, this is a huge project. It's $4.6 million. We wrote a letter to the Army Corps of Engineers suggesting that it be more equitable, suggesting that Cutler Bay should have more of an investment. The way that they do the cost benefit analysis, they look at where the most investment in infrastructure is. And of course, that's mostly downtown. But we are just, if not more, vulnerable to flooding than areas like this. And so those are the types of things we brought up. We also brought up doing more nature-based options, not just seawalls. Dade County will match this with 35%. So if they're not happy with the project, they can opt out at any time. The decision point is really April 2nd, not tomorrow. They do meet tomorrow to talk about whether to move forward. I'm told from Morella Begay and Daniela Levine Caba, as well as Jim Murley, that they want to move forward because it's such a big investment in Dade County. And of course, we would agree. We want to make sure that they do not conflict with Florida statute. And right now, it is not legal to fill Biscayne Bay as they're proposing here in this image. Biscayne Bay is protected sovereign submerged land. And this image shows that they would basically be extending the coastline and covering up seagrass and making a new coastline. While that may be a good idea, at the current time, that is in violation of state statute. So the Back Bay study, these are the suggested items that we asked for as a town on August 19th. The next point of entry, I believe, will be in April or preceding like a week or so before April, depending on when they release that next iteration. So these are the things we asked for. And of course, I can provide the letter to you again in once the meeting is over. I'm not going to read through these, but just so you know, that's the Back Bay study. And then I'm going to start by reminding all of you that we were very lucky to see the Water Management District ahead of the state allocate $11 million to make sure that phase one stays on track and gets completed by 2023. There was some missing funds and there was a concern that it wouldn't stay on track and be completed, but those funds have been found, and the Water Management District, especially the Dade County members, should be thanked for finding that money and making this happen. So that's phase one. And what we're moving into now is the planning on phase two. And this has a new name. So phase two of Biscayne Bay Coastal Wetlands was combined with the C-111 spreader project, and now it's called the BB Sear project. And you can see in purple that it's outlined. These are the areas that we're most focused on. And you guys see my little pointer, hopefully you can. This is number one, this is the model lands. This is the wetlands next to Turkey Point. Number two is the Southern Glades. And of course, Biscayne Bay, Biscayne National Park, and the Eastern Panhandle. Now this, in my opinion, is all connected. And the problem with it, doesn't have enough water. And the water that it does have quite a bit of phosphorus pollution in it. Phosphorus is the driving water quality concern. Although we definitely have nitrogen issues, it's really how much phosphorus there is that drives the availability of nutrient to the benthic community. So this is where the water is, and we have to get it down here. And that is the conundrum with this. Conceptually, the SERP vision is keeping water in the park, obviously, into Taylor Slough, but also making sure that especially in the dry season, we're able to maintain salinity conditions that are more natural, that we're stopping the point source discharges from the canals, recapturing them and rehydrating the wetlands. And in some cases, we don't have enough water, so we're also exploring reuse as a way to make sure we have enough flow in the dry season. And with that, we have to be careful because, of course, reuse water has high nutrients in it. Right now, Biscayne Bay has a major nutrient problem. On the left side of the screen, you can see normal natural seagrass community in the bay, mostly dominated by manatee grass or thalassia by this green, dark green line you can see right here. When the nutrients are low in Biscayne Bay, that's what you'll see, what's on the left side of the screen. On the right side of the screen, you can see once you add nutrients to the system, mostly phosphorus, you start to see Serengodium and haliduli, and eventually that is taken over by the macroalgae, this red floating mat that grows faster than anything else, and eventually you have just a floating mat or bare bottom, and then you have seagrass death altogether. So as you add nutrients, you lose seagrass altogether. That is what is happening also in the southern part of the bay. We're discovering that in 1999, this is the first map, all the way to 2019, almost a 20-year span here. You can see the dark green areas represent, high seagrass concentrations, and here we have low seagrass concentrations. So one of the things that we're trying to do is make sure that this project also considers water quality. And to do that, we're going to be proposing seagrass as a performance measure. And that means the success of the project will be looking at seagrass densities and are they improving over time. This project has the ability to actually help us avoid seagrass death in the southern part of the bay, like we're seeing in the northern part of the bay. So one of the issues that we have is that our state water quality rules do not have any violations for phosphorus, yet we know we have high phosphorus concentrations in the soil. And the reason we have no violation, sorry about that, is that they only test the water column and they average those areas over a large spatial extent. So we never have a phosphorus violation, although phosphorus is the issue that's driving it. So we want to make sure that the Army Corps and the Water Management District, as they move forward with this project, that they really work hard to make sure they improve water quality. And that is one of the things we're focused on. We don't want a repeat of these ecological disasters that have started in the 90s in Biscayne Bay and are present today in the north part of the bay. We don't want to see that happening again. This is a series of slides from the South Florida Water Management District showing some of the issues Biscayne Bay has faced over the years and where they are. The southern part of the bay is definitely the healthiest at this point, but we want to keep it that way and we want to improve it. Another thing the project is focused on is salinity. So that is the timing of freshwater flows so that we can improve habitat and species composition. And that's in the nearshore area. The reason that's really important is because we have these indicator species, crocodiles, sea trout, shrimp, oysters, all of them require a mesohaline condition, or between 10 and 20, to optimally survive. We are many times above 35 parts per thousand, and that means that we have a completely different system, almost like a reef, rather than an estuary. So we want to return to these estuarine conditions, and that is one of the big goals of the BBCR project. To do that, we have to find water, and that's the challenge. This is a schematic. Of course, you can look at this later. I know this is a busy slide of how to get water down to where we are. And that's the focus. You can see the idea is bringing water through here in various ways and getting it to the location where we are. I won't get into the details, but that's one focus, is how to get the water to us. And then once it's there, we have other options too, potentially using, like I mentioned before, the wastewater treatment plant and making that water usable for restoration, potentially connecting these canals so that we can make sure water can come from this part of the system down into this coastal wetland area. Now, this orange area is part of phase one. The idea is to connect all of this and make sure that we have a better delivery system to Biscayne Bay. It's much better than a point source coming out of a canal. Right now, all of this water gets to the bay just by one point source. So here is, of course, the area you're most familiar with, and congratulations for being a major player. We are the only municipality that is sitting at the table on the project delivery team. We are helping to drive this to be a much better project, and you're a stakeholder. You actually have land. Congratulations for doing that, for purchasing this land. And I look forward to helping design how we restore it and how we bring it back to a native plant community as well, including the recreational aspects, which the project delivery team hasn't discussed yet. But one of the things they did, this is their old visual. This isn't something that I generated. These slides came from the Army Corps. We suggested potentially locating the spreader canal a little further up so that you potentially could get more benefits. Also working to connect this spreader canal south. Let's see, my pointer doesn't seem to be working very well. There we go. There's the spreader canal south down this way, and hoping to make that a recreational component, potentially with a kayaking facility along there, as well as connecting it to walkways and having educational features. We definitely have talked about that. But the idea is to interpret this, to make this one of the key recreational features of SERP so people understand why it's so important. A lot of people really just don't. And so I think this is uniquely situated in the town of Cutler Bay to be that. The other thing we want to look at is how to connect all of these retention ponds within developments to the mangrove area, thinking of better flood protection for the residents, as well as better water connectivity, water quality to Biscayne Bay. So that's another thing to think of. Other options are additional wetlands. They're looking at this entire area right here next to the L31 flowway. Also looking at changing the dry season operations for the agricultural drawdown. And other options include the ASR storage, which basically means that you would capture the water during the wet season when it rains a lot, put it underground, and then take it back out during the dry season to rehydrate wetlands. And that, sorry, this is the slide on that. You can see some of the locations of the pump systems there, and that's where the ASR storage would be located. Another idea is to move the L31 levee all the way to the west and potentially have more benefits that way. The more wetlands we have, it improves the spatial extent of our ability not only to clean the water, but to store the water as well. This would also improve water quality greatly. The other thing to consider is the 102 and 103 canal. If there's any fishermen listening, you know that in September and October, the water is rushing out of there. And of course, it's carrying with it lots of nutrients. So if we could recapture that water and really put it along the coast so that it enters the bay in a much more biologically available way, the bay will improve. So if you know the bay, you know that those canals in particular are rushing out of there and really need to be improved. This is the last slide I have. Wanted to just show you the other thing is looking at places where plugs and fill areas are needed so that we can not only protect from sea level rise, but also ensure that the benefits are there behind the plug. So sometimes what happens is saltwater intrusion rushes up the canals. When you fill something or plug something, it keeps that from happening. So this is another item that they're talking about on the PDT. So at this time, I'll take any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you very much, Laura. lot of interesting, I guess, projects. Learned a lot from your presentation. I do appreciate it. Council, do you have any questions? No, all right. Thank you very much for that presentation. I'm excited that there's some proactive things going forward to help the Bay.
Yes, and thank you.
And Mayor, as you can see, we have an important, we have a important seat at the table. As like Laura said, we're very proud that we're the only municipality that's on that table. And as you can see, just by Laura's levels of expertise and knowledge for dealing with this for several years, as I mentioned before, we try to surround ourselves with the best talent, right? And I want to say that publicly that Laura, it was really tough for her to keep it down for that many minutes because this could go on for hours, so she's very passionate about it. But I wanted to give the community just a brief update and rest assured that we do have an important seat at the table, which I think the benefits will be there. We have a voice. And not only that, Laura has her marching orders to try to figure out any which way in all these projects for the core of how to incorporate recreational, educational elements that need to be part of that project. So again, we're fighting for those things as well. So thank you, Laura. Thank you, Mayor, members of council for your patience there.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, that takes us to our town attorney report. Mitch, do you have a report for us, sir? He does not. All right. Our town clerk. See you, town clerk, for your.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to mention publicly on the record that I have tendered my resignation as town clerk effective April 8th, 2021. And I came back to Cutler Bay in late 2016 to help out, and I signed an agreement to work full-time in April of 2017. So that's almost 4 years. Thank you for that opportunity to serve the council and the residents and work with the amazing people who work for the town. And no matter what the responsibility or the pressure, it's been a fun ride, and I appreciate all your support along the way. And to that end, since this is an appointment of a charter office, which is done by the town council, Mayor Mirbot has called for a workshop on next Wednesday, February 24th at 5 p.m. And it'll be a Zoom meeting so that you may start to discuss how you'd like to go forward with the hiring process. And if I can be of assistance or answer any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Debbie. And I don't think the town could have had a better town clerk than you.
Thank you.
Still debating whether we're going to accept your resignation.
Thank you.
Go on longer, we would. So, but it's been a great ride, and again, you do an amazing job. So sorry to see you go. So council, we have some work to do to try to fill those rather large shoes.
Thanks.
All right, with that takes us to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be pulled from the consent agenda? Roger?
Not a poll per se, but we do have 5 appointments to advisory committees. And I know that in the past, it's a lot easier when it's in person. If the appointees are present, we invite them to introduce themselves briefly. I know at least one of them is among the attendees. So I'd like us, if you would allow to just who's available and have them come up.
I will. After the consent agenda is approved, I'll be happy to go and do that. So are you okay with that, Roger?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and one other poll, BJ?
Yeah.
Your poll? 5F.
That is my resolution.
Okay, 5F. Pulled. With that, I'm looking for a motion for approval of the rest of the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the balance of the consent agenda.
Roger has the motion to approve. And the second is by BJ. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And none opposed. The consent agenda passes. So with that being said, are there any members of the appointments online with us today?
I do know we have one for the Education Advisory Committee. She just raised her hand, actually.
Okay, and Alex, if you could please promote her just to say hello.
So as she jumps in, if I could just take a point of privilege to introduce my new appointee to the committee I have the pleasure of being liaison to is Luisa Ruiz. And I would like to say hi to you guys.
Good afternoon or evening, Louisa. Welcome to our committees. Roger, is there anything else you would like to say about her? Just introduce her.
I'm very happy to have her on the committee, and I know she took part in our last meeting, knowing that she would be on tonight's agenda. So looking forward to getting back to work, as I'm sure all the other liaisons are with all their committees.
Louisa, welcome. I'll give you a moment to introduce yourself.
I'm Louisa. I've lived in Cutler Bay since, well, before it was Cutler Bay, since '97. So I'm familiar with the area, and I saw that there was an opening in the advisory board, and it's something that I'm extremely interested in. Career-wise, and what a better place to try to make a difference and try to help out than the community that you live in. So.
All right.
Just a little about me.
Thank you very much. We're glad to have you on our committee, and glad for you to be able to step up and be a part of this town. So thank you very much. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and go on to item F, since we have a rather small agenda. So BJ, you can tell me why you'd pull this near against it? Okay, hold on one second. I'm kidding, by the way.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Hold on, I gotta turn my volume down. Give me 1 second.
There we go. Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. This was the item that I had placed on the agenda here, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank Bethany and Hannah Keim. Stephanie Keim, I've served with their mother on the Education Advisory Committee before. This is where I actually was first introduced to the efforts to try to get this type of legislation through the Florida House and Florida Senate several years ago. So I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be able to bring this to tonight's agenda, and hopefully the rest of the town council will support it as well. This is very important to provide CPR training, as well as to require extended physical testing for student athletes and students in the high school level, including EKGs, which can be life-saving. So with that being said, Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to approve 5F.
All right, we have a motion from BJ for approval of 5F. Do I have a second? Second. We have a second from Vice Mayor Callahan. I got it right. All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, that brings us again to public comments. And real quick, I'd like the council's input. We do have 2 opportunities for public comments. Are we okay with that? If anybody thinks that it's redundant, just please let us know by our next meeting and see if we want to alter the agenda. But that being said, the floor is open for public comments. Facilitators.
Mayor Mirabot, at this time, I do not see anyone with their hand raised for public comment.
Okay, so I am closing public comments. That takes us to item 11A. Madam Clerk, can you please read item 11A?
A resolution of the mayor and town council of the town of Cutler Bay, Florida, creating the environmental task force, providing for selection of a task force members, providing for the town council liaison, and providing for an effective date.
All right, Roger, this is your item, so I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor, sir.
Thank you. So if you recall back in our workshop for committees and liaisons in January, I brought up a couple of ideas for committees, or in this case, a task force related to environmental issues in the town. So since then, I was able to meet with Manager Casals and with Chad Friedman, and they were very, very helpful in helping me kind of put my ideas in some more concrete form. So what is presented before you is a task force, not an advisory committee in the same guise as our other committees, but something that is meant to be sunsetted at a certain point. And what it will include is 5 members. These members will be appointed by the council as a whole. This will be different from advisory committees where each of us gets an appointee. It's going to be more akin to the what's it called, the floodplain mitigation committee. And what we're asking of the residents of the town is for 5 residents, obviously with interest in environmental issues that face our town, to apply to this. 3, we ask to have some either professional or advocacy, some kind of familiarity, experience, knowledge of environmental issues. It can be obviously all 5 of them if it comes to that. 1 member we ask to be an educator who lives in Cutler Bay. They don't have to teach in Cutler Bay. And 1 member of the business community, a resident as well, to represent that interest. And what we're going to ask of them, if this passes tonight, then we'll put the ad out. The clerk's office will advertise for applicants, and hopefully by our March meeting, we should be able to have a slate of people to choose from as a council. They will then be given a set of tasks. They will have 4 months to come up with some short-term projects, ideas for the town. This would coincide with our budgeting process in this coming summer. Then we'll ask them to have middle range and long range ideas for the town as well. Now, when we first discussed this, we use words like resiliency and so on. I know that the mayor, you mentioned a lot of county efforts in the arena of resiliency, which you yourself are involved in, are going to be letting us know about the work you're doing. So we didn't want this to just be about resiliency, which kind of lends itself to sea level rise and storm surge in certain aspects, but other issues dealing with the environment in Cutler Bay, such as, for example, tree canopy in our town, the risks and the ongoing issues with invasive species of lesser and greater degrees of peril to our native plants, and other issues. And that's where I will, as liaison to this task force, defer to these members who will know a lot more than me about these issues and bring things that maybe we haven't considered. Now, we will be presenting them with what the town has done so far. We have various visioning plans. We have all sorts of documents and artifacts that the town has already produced that they can start with and see where we are, see what goals we've set for ourselves, and then provide some advice to the council on where we could do more or do better in these things. So this is, it's a work in progress in a way. And I'm looking forward, again, assuming this passes and we create this task force, to what these members will bring to the table. And that's the short version. I defer to the manager if he wants to add any more technical issues related to this idea.
Ralph, any other? Okay.
No, I mean, I think Councilmember, you're right. I mean, for us, it's going to be a good test as well. As you saw today, we have folks on staff, Alfredo Yanir with the Flood Mitigation Committee, Jared, who's, has been deep involved in the Green Master Plan, learning all the parts of it, even though he wasn't here, but he dived into it. And myself kind of provide that technical assistance per se, because a lot of things that might come up, we might already have it, but it's just kind of prioritizing and mobilizing that. So thank you, Mayor.
All right. And Roger, I think if this passes, we're an environmental town, we're a green town, so it's got a slight chance, I believe. So I'm looking, I guess I'm looking for a motion on your item from you for a first.
That motion.
Okay, so we have a first. I'd look for a second. We have BJ with a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. There's one other item just a citizen brought up that I just want to kind of mention, Ralph. I think you were aware of this before. Is Palmetto Bay, I guess, worked on a beautification project on the 184th Street wall. And the wall on our side, it's private property. We sent a letter out to the residents urging them to see if they could improve that. And so the resident, when that was felt dead, the resident says, well, you're doing committees, you want to do a town beautification committee. I'm not sure I want to go ahead and do that yet, but, and I just wanted to recognize that in addition to the 184th Street wall, we also have the wall in Franjo and we have walls in Old Cutler. So, you know, you have to kind of decide which wall do you do them all and what cost would be to do that. It's definitely not in our budget this year, but so Ralph, if you could maybe just perhaps, so we have a little more information on what would entail if we were doing embark on something like that, you know, what the ultimate cost would be.
Yeah, in fact, Mayor, we have that. I'll have that research and I'll provide that at our next council meeting. But more importantly, just a little bit of historical perspective. If you recall, when we did our Old Cutler Road project, we actually did a lot of enhanced landscaping to kind of cover those walls that you see in those communities just north of Encompass Health there. And also we put in a decorative coral rock feature at the traffic circle on 87th Avenue Cutler, where that church is right there in the corner. So what we did is introduce a couple of beautification elements part of our roadway project. I could tell you one of the marching orders that I gave our consultants is on Franjo Road. Okay, unlike 184, next time you drive by the little brick wall there, there's actually maybe a 3 or 4 inch sliver between the sidewalk and that wall that we've been talking about different type of amenities that could be there, some type of crawling ivy or something to that effect. So again, keeping our track record when we incorporate into a roadway project. So I'll report back to the council of some different options. We actually have some costs that were put together from our public works department, and there might be some other opportunities there for maybe a Neat Street beautification project grant. You know, so again, I'll report that back to the council.
Okay, and I am in agreement. You know, 184th Street could use improvements, but and Franjo as well. So, all right, with that, and then we are adjourned, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great night.